Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another half-hour discussion around conflict resolution. So, in the next 30 minutes, I really want to just kind of break down what understanding conflict is and how to navigate that between the youth that we're working with. So, when we're looking to understand conflict, it's a lot like learning to ride a bicycle. It's not exactly easy at first, but it's rewarding when we get the hang of it. So just like balancing on two wheels can open up a world of adventure and confidence, understanding the basics of conflict can help our youth become confident and have deeper connections with others. So at its core, conflict is not something we want them to avoid. And that includes us, as a matter of fact. We don't want to avoid conflict. We want to teach that it's a part of everyday life and that everyone faces it sooner or later. So whether it's a small disagreement over what game to play or more of a complicated issue like what after-school activity to choose, conflict is going to bring opportunities to learn about ourselves and others. This is what I refer to as addressing the stress. So when we go back to the previous lesson, this is when we want to address someone's negative action in a very calm and clear way. And we need to find that we got to pick the right time and the right place. So on this next slide, we want to normalize to our youth that conflict is a very natural part of life. And it is it's an important tool for understanding how to interact with the world around them. So conflict is simply a clash between opposing views or interests. So imagine two friends wanting to play different games during recess. This is a very simple example of conflict. This example is going to help us understand that conflict is normal, part of daily interactions. So when we start looking at conflicts, there are different types to consider. So one type of conflict is interpersonal conflict, which happens between people. An example would be two siblings that want to watch two different TV programs at the same time. Each has their own wants and needs, which then leads to the disagreement. This example of conflict allows us to see difference of opinions and try to get them to work towards a resolution. A second type of conflict is intrapersonal conflict. So this occurs within a person. This conflict is extremely important to understand because our actions must start aligning with our values. For an example, let's just say an example is being unsure about what choice to make, like deciding whether to stay home sick because you're not feeling well or just go to work and just try to make it through the day. That's an intrapersonal conflict. So your struggle within yourself. This type of conflict is all about that internal struggle and that dilemma we have with ourselves. So when we talk to our youth, they might be having struggles as well within themselves. So even though there's only one person involved, this type of conflict can be challenging and it requires balancing different wants, ideas, or thoughts. And when we're able to handle the internal conflict, we reduce our own stress response, which may even impact those around us. So the third type of conflict is group conflict, which we probably all seen in the youth groups that we're facilitating. So which this involves more than two people. So these conflicts occur with several individuals and are often influenced by group dynamics and sometimes groupthink. Let's imagine a classroom where everyone needs to agree on a topic for a project. Not everyone will have the same idea, and this is going to lead to disagreements. Group conflicts teach us about cooperation and the importance of listening to multiple ideas and being open to changing our views as well. So recognizing conflict is the very first step towards resolving conflict. When we understand that it is a natural occurrence, we can then approach it without fear or hesitation. So let's use an example. Maybe we have a group of students that can't decide on a theme for a school play. Seeing the disagreement as a chance to explore everyone's idea makes finding a solution easier for them. So instead of viewing conflict as negative, let's begin to frame it as an opportunity for learning and understanding. So conflict allows us to understand interactions better. So when we begin to recognize these different types of conflict, we will have a better insight into the different ways that they can occur. When we identify them, it helps us to know a little bit more about ourselves and others. So when resolving a disagreement with a friend or just making a tough personal choice, identifying and understanding the type of conflict that's occurring becomes a very valuable skill. Now let's go back to that first type of conflict, that interpersonal conflict, and that teaches us to communicate and compromise. So when two people disagree, like we probably often see with the youth that we're working with, so when two people disagree, like when choosing teams for a game, and we want to teach our youth to discuss their preferences and find a middle ground. So this is going to teach them to listen to others and express their own thoughts clearly. And these are the steps in solving problems together. So this is very critical, especially at that young age of the youth that we're dealing with, the preteens and the teens. This is very valuable for them to start to understand. So when we look at intrapersonal conflicts, we're going to highlight our internal decision-making processes. So whenever our youth faces choices like picking between an after-school activity or deciding how to spend their free time, they now enter into this type of conflict. These struggles allow us to weigh options and make decisions that align with our own values and needs. It's a skill that grows out of practice. So we need to help our youth become more confident in making choices that align with their values, their needs, and their wants. Let's get into group conflicts. So group conflicts show us the importance of collaboration. Working in teams is something that we do in all of our schools. We do a lot of it in public school, and I know working with some of our Islamic schools, there's a lot of collaborating groups within the classroom. So working in teams, whether in school projects or group activities, frequently will lead to differing opinions. So deciding who does what or what ideas to pursue, this can cause tension. So experience these conflicts teaches children to see the value of different opinions. And this can create solutions that benefit everyone involved. So we really want to teach our youth when they're having disagreements, we need to talk it out. And we're going to get a little bit deeper about active listening and listening. But so despite the challenges conflicts bring, it's important to remember that addressing these issues can lead to positive outcomes. And we need to really emphasize that with the youth that we're leading and directing. So by addressing conflicts head on, we learn more about communication, empathy, and problem solving. These skills don't just help us in specific situations, but they're beneficial in many areas of our life. So understanding conflicts helps clarify this. So take an everyday situation where you might experience interpersonal, intrapersonal, or group conflicts. If you're deciding how to divide chores or at home or which activity to do over the weekend, we can recognize that these moments are opportunities to learn and grow. So we want to teach our youth that conflict isn't something to shy away from. Instead, it's where we start handling life's difficult interactions. And this is where our social skills are developed. So at work, in school, among peers, or even with families, they're going to come across conflicts often. So they might be small disagreements or important decisions requiring thought and discussion. Every instance gives a chance to explore and try to understand the conflict and discover ways to handle it effectively. So we want to make sure that we're teaching our youth even the smallest conflicts should be addressed and attempted to be resolved. So let's go to the next slide. We want to teach approaching conflict with an open mindset. So this allows us to improve our ability to listen, understand, and connect with others. Whether dealing with a disagreement or facing an internal struggle, applying what we've learned about conflict types, working through them helps develop their patience and resilience. So I actually did a whole discussion at North Star about youth and resilience. Part of resolving conflicts helps build resilience. Practical exercises that can help strengthen these kind of skills, you can try role-playing scenarios where you're going to have role-play different conflicts which may occur. You can practice discussing topics where opinions differ. So practicing these activities helps prepare for real-life situations. So changing conflicts from a point of stress to being comfortable to one's approach. So remember that the key lies in the approach of the conflict. So that kind of goes back to that calm, clear. So when we have, we go back to that first lesson, or we're looking at when we do want to address the stress, and when we do it, we want to do it in a very calm and clear way. So it lies in our approach. So I always teach the 2 C's of communication: always be calm and always be clear. So we want to be very clear about what the issue is. All right. So by defining the conflicts as a clash of views or interests, understanding the interpersonal, and group conflict, and recognizing the roles that they play in our lives, we become better able to handle these challenges. And so this is something that we really want to work and teach and be patient with our youth when they're actually dealing with these day-to-day conflicts within our groups. So just remember, resolving conflicts provides our youth with the ability to cooperate and help deepen their connection with others. Let's look at the common causes of conflict among our youth. So our youth they're exciting, they're a challenging group to work with. So during this stage in their lives, conflicts will often arise. They're going to be driven by a variety of factors. Understanding these root causes can assist us in providing them with some guidance and help them give them tools to navigate the conflicts. So miscommunication. Miscommunication is one of the most common reasons for conflict among preteens, teens, and even adults. So miscommunication happens when conversations are unclear or incomplete. This will lead to misunderstandings. For example, a simple text message can easily be misinterpreted with tone and context because it's not clear through text. So this can result in a disagreement or an argument that could have been avoided with better communication. I always teach that arguments should never be done over text. In person or over the phone is the priority due to tone and context needing to be clear. Also, when you see someone's face and hear their voice, compassion can then take place. And this plays a crucial role in resolving a conflict. We want to encourage open dialogue, and we want to teach our youth to seek clarification before jumping to conclusions. And this can really reduce a lot of our conflicts. So differing values is another major source of conflict. These differences can arise from diverse backgrounds, cultural, family, peer influences. An example would be a teen raised in a household that the parents emphasize academic achievement. This might clash with their friend or peer who prioritizes social activities. So we want to help our youth understand that people may come from different backgrounds with various sets of values, they can also learn to respect and appreciate diversity rather than just allowing it to become a point of contention. Let's talk about social pressures. Social pressures play a crucial role in shaping behavior, and this can lead to a lot of tension and conflict. So as our youth strive to fit in with their peers, they're going to face challenges related to values and relationships. So the pressure to conform to certain social norms can create a lot of anxiety and lead to disputes with their friends or even their family. So we need to help them develop strong sense of self and help them encourage them to embrace their unique identities. And this can lessen the stress caused in social pressures. So academic stress. Academic stress is another significant cause of conflict. And we see this in our schools all the time. So with increasing expectations, heavy workloads, our youth may find themselves overwhelmed, overloaded, leading to their frustration, and ultimately conflict will arise. So for instance, a student striving for perfect grades may experience stress that spills over into interactions with family members or their friends. We need to provide them with support and to help them manage their time effectively, and this can alleviate a lot of their stress. So this is just going back to identifying where our youth are being stressed out. So academic one is a big one. Let's go to the next slide. So to effectively address these conflicts, it's important to equip our youth with practical conflict resolution skills. So this is what we want to teach. We want to teach active listening. This is a very valuable strategy. It's going to allow our youth to fully understand other perspective before responding. So go back to the PER scenario. So one of my previous lessons, it's pause, reflect, then respond. It's something we have to teach our youth. So the practice reduces misunderstandings. It promotes empathy. And it will ease tensions and issues within conversations. So encouraging our youth to express their feelings clearly by using I statements also helps prevent aggressive communication, which often escalates conflicts. We need to help them with problem-solving skills. These are equally essential to managing conflicts. Encouraging our youth to brainstorm solutions together fosters compromise and cooperation. So brainstorming is another exercise that we can start working when we see some individuals that may be working on a group project. We can get them to start brainstorming. It may take a few minutes, but it's gonna be long term. It's gonna be worth it. So when conflicts persist despite these efforts, involving a trusted adult, counselor, mediator, teacher, just an adult with an impartial perspective, and facilitate productive discussions. I have to stress impartial perspective because often our adults want to come in and just settle the argument. But really what I need our mentors, our teachers to do is come in with an impartial perspective. We're not trying to take sides. We're trying to facilitate dialogue with the youth that have the issue. Let them work it out, but we want to be impartial, help them, stay calm, communicate effectively, and this is what we need to model. So by recognizing that conflicts are natural and sometimes necessary for personal growth, our youth they can approach these situations more calmly and more confidently. The role of family in supporting our youth through these conflicts cannot be understated. A strong family foundation provides emotional stability, and it can be a safe place during troubling times. So research has shown families that foster open communication and encourage expression without judgment helps adolescents feel heard, understood. It reduces potential conflicts, which stem from isolation or misunderstanding. So anyone who can reach out to parents, connect with parents, Have discussions with the parents when you're finding that the youth are having issues within your groups, to bring the parents into a conversation. So schools, community programs, masjids also play an important role in equipping our youth with tools to manage conflict. So programs like Rahma Foundation, inviting me to come teach to a variety of different organizations underneath the Rahma umbrella really helps. So we need to teach communication, empathy, collaboration, so we can provide them with life skills. So moving on to the next slide, now let's begin to talk about the role of conflict in relationships. So conflict can be a very scary word. So when you hear it, you might think of arguments, fights, people who just can't get along. But what if I told you that conflict isn't always bad? In fact, it can actually be quite the opposite. Conflict can act as a catalyst for growth. It can really strengthen relationships, giving people opportunity to learn about themselves and others. Think about it. When children are in a disagreement with a friend over a game to play, it forces them to express why they like one choice over another. This communication helps both understand. This communication helps both of the children understand about each other. So they're learning about their friends' preferences, their thoughts and feelings. And they're also learning about themselves. So handling conflicts successfully also helps build trust and strengthens connection amongst the youth. So let's imagine two friends that have an argument about what happened over a group project. Instead of staying mad, both decide to talk it out, because maybe we coached them about doing this, and so now they've understand, okay, we have a disagreement, now we're going to talk it out. By working through the issue, now they're understanding what went wrong. Maybe there was a misunderstanding that got cleared up, but their friendship becomes now stronger because they have shown that they care enough to resolve these things together. This is exactly what makes resolving conflicts so important. It's just about it's not just about ending the argument, it's about building a stronger connection because of the argument. So having an open dialogue during conflict resolution is crucial. So open dialogue, it's going to foster understanding and empathy. So that's number one. Let's suppose a child is upset about their sibling borrowed something without asking. So instead of yelling, they can, because you taught them, they can calmly explain how it made them feel. Listening plays a huge role here too. So we want to teach our youth that when someone sees fault with them, they must take time to listen. So they need to listen without reacting. So this is very key that we have to teach. You have to take time. So this is something that you can practice with the groups, where maybe they're in dyads, or they group of twos, and someone can talk for 2 minutes and the other person just has to listen. So this is a really good reflective listening practice. So when a sibling avoids getting defensive and instead really hears their other sibling out, both sides now have that chance to explain their perspectives. This is where empathy comes in. So empathy grows in these moments. Understanding why someone feels the way they do is powerful. So learning to communicate openly, acknowledging each other's feelings, and responding with sensitivity, this can transform disagreements into calm, clear discussions. So navigating challenges together has an immense value in improving communication, and it can deepen connections. So if you've ever worked on a challenging school or work project with classmates or peers, you know it's not easy. So differing opinions and ideas will come up. By navigating through these differing views and finding common ground, everyone learns to communicate better and to learn to work together. So it's the same in personal relationships. So facing difficulties together enhances teamwork, shows us how we're capable of achieving something as a unit together. So this cooperation strengthens the bond they share. So turning a very simple issue now becomes something that they have resolved together, and it deepens their relationship. So developing effective communication skills, this can prevent conflicts from spiraling out of control. Taking time to listen, speaking calmly, trying to see things from the other person's perspective. These are critical ways to nurture relationships. We need to teach these skills. So we need to teach that they need to take time to listen. We need to teach for them to speak calmly. We need to teach for them to see things from the other perspective. These are things that we must teach. So these abilities, they keep small disagreements from becoming bigger problems. Practicing these skills within our groups makes handling future conflicts less challenging, as they shift focus from blame and shift it towards resolving and coming up with solutions. So this change in perspective encourages positive outcomes and leaving room for growth rather than lingering resentment. So let's go to the next slide. So potential positive outcomes for conflicts. So conflicts can be powerful, and they can lead to beneficial changes in our lives. So when faced with challenging situations, we have opportunity to tap into a creative world and come up with solutions. So imagine you're working on a group project, just at work, and now everyone agrees on how to approach it. Instead of sticking rigidly to your idea, you may want to listen to others and their perspectives, and together brainstorm ways to combine your strengths and their viewpoints. This problem-solving process often leads to more creative solutions. And this is something we're going to need to teach our youth, because as they get up in age, I know in public school setting, the majority of classworks are group facilitated. So we need to teach them now, and then when they get into university level. I remember going to university level in my education, and a vast majority of my classes, we were in groups, and so we had to learn to work with each other. So we just need to know that conflict can push us out of our comfort zones. So it's going to force us to think differently and break away from our old patterns. So an example, see when a disagreement about maybe a route to take on a road trip. So maybe you're taking a road trip with a bunch of friends, and one person wants to go this direction, another person thinks it's best to go that way. So considering each option can lead to discovering a previously known scenic path that maybe somebody in the car didn't even know about. So experiencing diverse opinions can disrupt groupthink. Groupthink is where everyone agrees without considering other possibilities. Conflicts help people towards exploring different angles and come up with ideas. So we want to normalize conflict is okay. So collaboration is essential in resolving in conflicts. So think about instances when you've been with friends, you disagreed on an issue like where to eat. By discussing and listening to each other's preferences, you might find other ideas. You might find other restaurants that you didn't know about. You might come up with an agreement that satisfies everyone's desires or tastes. So in this way, conflict resolution becomes a collaborative effort, prompting others to work together towards that shared goal. So the act of collaboration provides an environment where everyone feels valued and heard. So each time we navigate through these conflicts, big or small, we're teaching our youth that we're going to learn more about ourselves and those around us. So think about a time when you had a disagreement with someone in the family over chores. Though through open discussion and compromise, you not only learn negotiation skills, but also gain insights into own priorities and perspectives. So you can help them understand that certain tasks are important to you, and they can now be able to talk this out, explain their perspective. So maybe one sibling doesn't mind vacuuming, where the other one would rather do dishes than vacuum. So we can start talking these things out, and all of a sudden we're resolving these internal and external conflicts. So next, interacting with others during conflicts. I want to talk about that. I want to really focus on this as coming towards the end of this this presentation. So when we reflect on our reactions, we can identify areas where we need to improve, like managing frustration, communicating more clearly. This is called introspection, and it can enhance our emotional intelligence, which makes us handle future disagreements a little bit better. So overcoming conflict not only enriches our youth's understanding, and it helps them find out more about themselves, but it also this approach also helps them understand different perspectives, and it brings about more self-awareness. So successfully resolving these conflicts can lead to strengthening relationships as well. So think about a time when you and a friend disagreed strongly and managed to work through it. By engaging in this constructive dialogue and reaching a mutual understanding, your relationship likely grew stronger from that experience. These shared journeys create bonds that can last a lifetime. So many of our youth, they're going to know each other from 8, 9, 10, all the way into their preteens and into their teens. So if we can help them strengthen their relationships through their disagreements, this is a benefit that will benefit them in the long term, but also to benefit you, and you get the reward, inshallah. So we're going to talk about building stronger relationships through conflict resolution. So this extends beyond personal interactions to places like classrooms and workplace. So when students or our youth or colleagues even face challenges together, we're going to learn to support one another. We're going to teach how to respect differences and celebrate successes. So such environments like these encourages inclusive thinking and empower individuals to voice their opinions confidently. So I want to push through the last one, the last slide here, and just kind of bring it all together. So just to kind of review, conflict is not an obstacle. It's a pathway for personal growth. So we want to teach our youth that this is just something that we need to navigate. So throughout this presentation, we looked at different ways and different types of conflict. So we learned that these disagreements and challenges help bring us together. So remember, no one is alone in facing conflicts. Everyone encounters these disagreements and issues, whether at home, whether at work, with friends. What's important is approaching these situations with openness and willingness to learn. So we need to teach this to our youth. We need to help them practice these skills in our own settings, and we need to teach active listening, expressing their feelings constructively, by the way. Conflicts then can be less threatening and more manageable. So with each experience, you're going to help them build confidence in navigating their clashes smoothly. So I teach them to embrace conflicts as chances to improve their understanding and deepen relationships. So you might be surprised on how much you help them grow. So last thing I want to put in here is help them run to what they want to run from. Often our youth want to run from conflicts. We want to help them run to these conflicts. but we want to help them run to it, resolve them in a very profound and positive way. And this is the way that we're going to start doing it. So that will conclude this part of my presentation. Jazakallah khairan. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. So alhamdulillah. So inshallah, just if you could just keep me in your du'as and be looking out for the next 30-minute session. So may Allah reward you for taking time to watch this, and inshallah I should have the next one up hopefully in the next couple weeks as we move through the month of Ramadan. Things are slowing down and piling up, so inshallah Allah will make it easy. So thank you again for all your time. Please keep me and my family in your du'as, and inshallah we'll see you in the next 30-minute presentation. Assalamu alaikum.